Game Boy games! They're so fun! They're so weirdly expensive these days. And they're so cute and compact and pocketable, and just, you just have this weird urge to collect more and more and more and just stack them and but then but for real, where do you put them? Where do you put them? Once I had more than like 5 of these guys, I was like, where do I put these? I don't want them to get sun faded. I don't want the labels to get any more damaged than they are. I don't want them to get dusty or corroded, or where do we put them? I'm your cool Uncle Marissa, and I'm here to answer the burning question on everybody's mind. Where do I put my Game Boy Advance games and my Game Boy games and my Game Boy Color games? Let's figure it out. So one of the most popular options is this sort of DS style case. It's cool, you know, it's like information. You open it and you can have like the manual and just, I don't like it. Like, it's too big, but it also feels, it doesn't feel like natural, because it feels like putting a Switch cartridge in a DS case. Of course, there's the original packaging, which I would show you. If I had one! I never throw away any sort of case. Ever since I was a kid, I would keep everything. But Game Boy game cases weren't cases. They were flimsy cardboard. So I never, even as a kid, like, it never occurred to me, or even my mom who kept everything, to keep those because it was cardboard. So I mean, I know that probably has a lot to do with their scarcity, and I'm sure, you know, you could print reproductions of those cases, but I don't know. I mean, unless you're going for that aesthetic, it feels a little silly, because we go back to the thing of like, it's flimsy cardboard. So my first solution for this was I bought these 3D printed little shelves from an Etsy seller who goes by the name of The Printing Hall. You get to pick the colors, and it's just super neat. And as you can see, I still do use it, and especially for like the wonky shaped cartridges. But the thing about these was I had a lot of Game Boy games, and it was just getting too much. I didn't know where to put them. It does get dusty, and it's not a lot of protection. So it's good for stuff that's either weirdly shaped so you can't fit it in anything, or stuff that you're gonna be taking and playing with pretty frequently. That's when I stumbled upon people using cassette tape cases for Game Boy games. And I was like, dude, that's ingenious. It's super cute. I love cassette tape cases. I love cassettes. I love how they're just such a good third soul. They just have such a nice thickness to them while also being compact. And I think that resonates a lot with the aesthetic of Game Boy through Game Boy Advance games. Now, the issue there, which sent me on this quest, was that the inside game holder on these cassette holders was 3D printed. And you know, understandably so, if you want to buy 3D printed inserts, they do really add up. And I have a significant number of Game Boy games at this point where it wasn't sustainable. From there, I came across a Reddit post where they had made the inserts out of cardboard, or not cardboard, but really thick cardstock. And if you have a keen eye and you've been checking out my Ko-fi, you'll know I actually have put my version of these inserts for free on my Ko-fi page. So you might already have a leg up on where this is going. So the Reddit post I found was sort of a collaboration between 2 users. The original creator of the Inlay was a user named Iota, and then an SVG file, so an Illustrator file, was created by another user who has a website called androidarts.com. Now this was very exciting, so I had to try it out. Now I have a Cameo silhouette cutter. I turned it into a silhouette file, and I made a ton of edits as well. I cut so many inlays before I got it to a point where I felt that it fit perfectly in the cassette case, because I didn't want it to be too small. I didn't want it to, you know, just shake around. And the part that holds the cartridge was strong enough that it's not going to go flying out. So that is available. You don't need a cutter in order to use it. I do have a PDF version as well on the same Ko-fi page. It's all in the zip file. So if you only have a few, or you have the patience of a saint, or you like origami, you can just use an X-Acto knife and or a guillotine in order to cut them to shape. The dashed lines show you where to fold, straight lines, connected lines are where you cut. And while I have these resources, I've always wanted to put together a video to actually tell you guys how to use it. So that's what we're going to do. And this is, you know, I'm able to really show off my Game Boy games in a really neat way because of this. So let's get started. The project we're going to work on today is I've been meaning to get a case set up for my Advance Wars cartridge that I finally bought. Still haven't played. Please don't ask me how many of my games I've actually played because the answer will be very disappointing. But I want it to have a home. So let's go ahead and from design process to cutting and printing to putting everything together, let's do this.
Okay, I'm in Adobe Photoshop CS6 and I've opened my Game Boy cassette cover template. You can see the pinball I made before, and then I'm gonna go on the Cover Project website and see if they have a cover I like. A cassette cover, that is. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and download all of them and then start pulling assets to build my own. Okay, so I'm just gonna open all three of these so that I have access to the assets on them. And this is gonna help inspire us too. This is the cleanest cover of them all, so I'm gonna drop that here into the front cover. And I'm just gonna play around with it and see what I like. What I didn't like about the cassette cover on the Cover Project was I felt the image was too small, and I also didn't like that the link it up bit of advertisement was so front and center. I'm like struggling to keep the parts of the image I want in without including the logos on the sides. If it's not possible, I'll usually try to merge two images or use my clone stamp tool, or, you know, just try a variety of things. But I feel like we can do it with this. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna go grab some other assets off the World Wide Web. So I'd obviously like the logo, so I'm going to search that, and we're going to find a nice PNG. The first time I ever did one of these types of CAPTCHAs, I just thought it said click in order, so I did it in alphabetical order and was very frustrated when it told me that I'm a robot, which I guess happened again, so I must be a robot. I sure have a lot of feelings for one. All right, well, we tricked it into thinking that we are not a robot, so that's sweet. Now I'm doing some more angry finagling of trying to figure out where to put this. Eventually I kind of give up and I'm like, okay, let's make it smaller. We're gonna need some of that more negative space up there to put the logo on. Logo loss. That's like nice and dynamic. And we're just gonna get rid of the logo that was there and try to kind of do a little bit of blending so it doesn't look like I just dumped a chunk of white up there. I think we can move on to the other panels now. I always know I can do a better job, but these are gonna be printing pretty tiny, so small mistakes are forgivable. Gonna grab that PNG title for the spine. And I like to grab all the publisher logos and stuff for the back flap. I like to have a lot of fun with the back flap. I know It's the least seen one, but it's the part where you can put the most random elements, and the way the text is spread out feels like there's just so much negative space that could have some fun. Okay, now I want to find some neat pictures and stuff to spice up the cassette spine and back with. So let's see what Advance Wars PNG yields. I also tried to stick to video game assets and not fan art or anything. If it's for personal use, I don't see the issue with using fan art, but it's kind of weird. Like, unless you made it yourself or you have permission. I'm kind of obsessed with these trio images. They're really nice. And the individual ones are pretty cool too. So I think I'll kind of go crazy with these. Everything looks good to me. I like how this looks. So it is a printing time. I'm going to flatten the layer and I'm going to put it on my printing template, which is essentially just a double of these J cards. Now to quote unquote print our inserts. I'm not really printing them. I'm just cutting and scoring them. You can download these from my Ko-fi, the PSD template I've also placed on my Ko-fi at this point. You're welcome to download it for free, or if you'd like to throw a donation, that's always appreciated. Then I'm gonna open it up in the Silhouette Studio, which is not the best piece of software, but it is what it is. It gets the job done. I already have it set to which lines are cut and which lines are scored. The dashed lines in blue will be scored for folding, and the ones in green will be cut. This is automatically set to 2 inlays because, again, that's how much can fit on the paper. And then I'm just gonna send it to my machine and let's go.
Okay, so my file that I have on my Ko-fi and my art site is actually for 2. So, and you can always print this out if you don't have a Silhouette or a Cricut Cricut. You can print it out and just use an X-Acto knife. It'll take longer, but unless you want to do this for your whole collection or something at once, I wouldn't say to, you know, run out and get a cutting machine. It's been a while. Let's see if I actually remember how to put it together. I don't know if you can see, these are the dotted lines. Okay. Cool. Now then. So fold here because there's a dotted line. Okay. Fold here because it's a dotted line. I don't know if I'm folding the right way. We're learning together, or relearning at least. And a fold here. And I believe, yeah, fold here. Okay. And then what you do is you fold this over, right? Yeah, oh yeah, and then this part, so here, you can either glue or use double-sided tape. Yeah, make sure you get these nice and folded so that it's not, you know, it's not all lumpy. And of course, make sure you're using a nice thick cardstock so that all this folding isn't going to make it rip. Okay. I'm gonna use just Scotch double-sided tape. Man, when I was a kid, this was like gold to me. It was just because I used to stick things on by doing the, you know, like rolling the tape on itself to make it double-sided. Glue might be handier for this, but I don't have any. So that's life, right? Okay, and then can put this over. I think you can do it the other way too. That's, you know, putting this on top of this. It's really not anything. And then you can see the game just fits in perfectly right here. So it's not like the most attractive thing, but it works. It keeps it in place. It keeps it from being scratched up. Okay, so, and then I have this transparent case. Very lucky that it was left over from my last batch. We want to use a flush cutter to cut these out. Ostensibly, you can keep it in. So, you see that. And just make sure, you know, you flip these out. However, that also just makes me nervous that I'm going to damage my cartridge. But yeah, see, ostensibly you could do this and just end it here, right? But I don't really love that. These wire cutters, flush cutters, have served me so well that I need to get a new pair because I've used them so much on plastic stuff that they kind of lost their... Okay, so you see it came off really easily. For the most part, they do come off very easily. But did you see that? I was actually just about to say hold on to them so that they don't hit you in the eye. If you're a responsible citizen, wear some plastic goggles. Okay, and then just because I'm a perfectionist, I do like to go over with a file. It's a bit harder with these transparent ones because I don't want to scratch it. He's already scratching. Well, you know, it is what it is. I've seen people who say to put like masking tape on top. I don't know, why not just go the full way and just cut and file. Get something smoother. You can print 2 covers on one 8.5 by 11 sheet, but I am wasting paper for you guys. Got my handy dandy paper cutter. You can also use scissors. So now we want to fold it, right? So that it goes in properly. I'm gonna put a piece of paper here and put this here, just so that I'm not damaging any of the ink, any of the print. You could laminate it, I guess, if you really wanted to, but once it's in the cassette case, it's safe. And I have a bone folder. These are used for folding paper, and they do sell plastic ones, but they are not as effective. And then you fold on the opposite side. So it is a little challenging. This paper is thin enough that I can see the ink through it, so that's great. So I'm just going to place my ruler and I'm going to make those lines. Okay, so that's kind of it. And then that just folds well where you put the line. I don't fold it completely because I like to do a neat little trick just to make sure things are pretty perfect. What I do is I'll put it in kind of like this. Okay. And it's like, okay, so that that fits pretty well. I cut it pretty well. So then I take my bone folder and I put it here where it meets the edges of the case, and I just push in. And same on the other side. This side you gotta push this in first, and then you can use the bone folder. Then we just put this guy in, over it, and slip this in, and perfect. You've got an easy peasy storage for your Game Boy Advance games. You can see what they are from the side. You can see the covers, and you know, you can see just with this side also, if you want to keep it smaller or bigger, that is up to you, because you can just increase the size or decrease the size. If you make it bigger, maybe it looks like a book. That's pretty neat. All right, guys, so we did it. We have designed our own cover and put it in this cassette case. Thank you so much for hanging around. I hope this was helpful. If you guys make your own covers from scratch, I'd love to see them. If you upload them anywhere, send me a link, because it's just really cool seeing different people's reinterpretations of iconic artwork. Otherwise, I've been your cool Uncle Marissa, and don't forget, you're always welcome to join me on more cool projects just like this, because Cool Uncle loves you. See you in the next one.